Well, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, district officers, I'm sure that none of you have ever looked at your watch at 8 o'clock at night and said, oh my God, I've got a speech due tomorrow. Nobody here, right? No. 9 o'clock, there you go. Or the other stressful situation you might be in. I'm sure that none of you have ever, in your work or a volunteer organization that you're in, you've had a supervisor or somebody come up that's over you saying, you know, Kathy can't make it next week, and we need to have a speaker do how membership building is important in your club. And you're going, oh, my God, that's not my expertise. Well, what do you do when you are stuck in that situation? Well, I hope in the next 13 minutes that you have found a solution to that problem. And it's pretty simple when you get use of it. So, how do you do? The first thing you're going to do is get your creative juices working. You're saying, I can't think of a thing to say. So the first thing you're going to do is grab a blank sheet of paper and take out a pen and start writing. And what are you going to write? You're going to write down key words that have to do with the topic of your work, your interest, your family, your health, your books you're reading. Just key words and just key phrases. And the key is don't judge them. Don't make a decision. This is wrong. This is right. Don't decide any of that now. Just write them down as fast as you can write them down. I want you to take 5 or 7 minutes and write them down. Once you've got them down and no judgment at this point, then you look down that list. You should have found something there that says, I know that subject. I have knowledge in that area. Or you're going to be able to look down that list and say, this key point goes with this key point, and this key point can go with that key point. And now I've got 2 or 3 key points that I can make a speech out of because you have now started to stimulate your mind and get working on this. So the key is don't judge and write them down. The next thing you're going to do, I'm going to step aside. This is a list I did recently, practicing, to give you an idea of just a couple of minutes of key notes, things of my interest, of my work, my interest, my family, my health, be it bird watching, reading books, Toastmasters, Ice Age mammals, just some ideas that I thought of. From this list, I selected bird watching. You can barely see the words up there on the top. It almost flew away. Now you need the key words again. On the subject, in this case, bird watching, what are you going to speak about? How about the equipment you're going to need, the clothing you're going to take, where are you going to go? What are your references to identify that bird? Now, here's what I did. I decided to do one on most common birds I've seen and the most unusual birds I've seen. Has anybody here been snipe hunting? My goodness, half the crowd. I grew up in Western Washington, and when people came to Western Washington in high school, oftentimes one of the first initiations to the area was to send them out snipe hunting. I'm not sure how you guys have done it, but you take a bag, you hand this person a bag, a flashlight, and a stick. You're sending them out at nighttime or dusk so they can get back with a flashlight. Their instructions are to open the bag and go to a tree and pound on the tree and say, here snipe, here snipe, here snipe. Now, I always thought that snipes were like unicorns. They didn't exist. Does anybody know what that bird is? That is a Wilson snipe. I saw this bird a year ago at Harrison, Idaho. It's from this area. It's a real bird. It's not a unicorn. So, there's an example of something from my life that I can say I was totally wrong about, but it's so unusual that I actually said, oh my God, that's a snipe once I got the book open. So, once you've done those keywords, the next big important thing is write it down as a one-statement sentence. And by the way, I'm going to be handing you out a handout so you have this in review too. But write it down as a one-sentence statement, and that's going to become your purpose. And the idea of writing in a one statement is going to focus your mind so that you are concentrating on your topic. And also with that one sentence, you need to answer, what do I want my audience to do, to feel, to change? Am I going to make this an informative talk? Am I going to make it entertaining or motivational or persuasive? Am I talking to a specialized group? Like, is this a eulogy or is this a wedding ceremony? Those type of questions you need to ask, and they're going to be part of that purpose statement. Maybe you're going to ask this question. If you were a reporter, what would be the headline of your speech? One sentence. Now, that is called your speech purpose statement. Here's what Dr. Ralph Smedley said. A speech without a specific purpose is like a journey without a destination. Every one of you have heard somebody who didn't have a purpose for their speech, who hadn't practiced their speech, and they ramble, and they ramble, and they ramble. Without that purpose statement, you ramble, and that's exactly what our founder of our Toastmasters organization is saying here. This part will make you feel silly. And it really can feel silly, not only to yourself, but when you have to answer to your spouse, and she says, where are you going? And I'd say, I'm going to the bathroom. And she'd say, you're going to the bathroom, your notes? Yeah, I'm going to the bathroom with my notes. I'm going to speak to the mirror. This sounds so silly, but this is one of the most powerful feedback mechanisms you can ever do for yourself. Instead of making a video and watching it tonight or tomorrow, the mirror gives you immediate feedback. It tells you that your gestures that you're using are ugly and you need to change them. It tells you that point A needs to go down here and point B needs to go up here. And surprisingly, that mirror will help you create transitions between those parts. You can't believe how powerful this is until you try it. It is extremely powerful. And then I want you to now add, subtract, delete, organize, realize that this isn't going to fit, this one fits up there, fits over there. And then I want you to go to the mirror again and practice this. And if you're doing a 5 to 7 minute speech and you've now practiced it about 2 times, you're approaching about 45 to 50 minutes, and you probably have your speech pretty well done already. The next step, though, is to practice again and recognize that you're going to be could be using your table topic skills as well. This is a quote from one of our past Toastmasters International presidents. He says, if I'm writing an initial draft and I think I have to edit a sentence, I just push through instead of stopping to rework it. The key for me is to keep the keyboard working or I'll get stuck. What he is saying is exactly what I'm saying. When you're brainstorming, don't stop, don't judge, don't do anything but keep writing, or you'll get stuck. And that's exactly what he is saying. Don't get stuck. Keep moving. So here's your review of what it takes for this time. Brainstorm from things you know about, your work, your interests, your family, your health, your hobbies. Organize into related subjects using keywords or phrases. Brainstorm some more keywords for those keywords. Write down your purpose and then practice in front of the mirror. Now is the time. If you need to write a speech and have it verbatim written, now's the time to write it, because that mirror helped you build your transitions. That mirror gave you your key words. That mirror gave you your speech. And now, if you need to write it, and tell you the truth, I was just asked this, I never write my speeches. I only use keywords. If I need to get this speech again in a year, I'm going to dig out those keywords, and it'll be a new speech for you, because I only use keywords. But if you need a written speech, now's the time to do it. Here's approximate time durations that you need to plan for each section. And again, I've got a handout to hand out for you of this, so you don't need to write it down. The next segment or way this can happen is that stress mobile. You're handed a subject. What do? Take the subject. Why is membership building important for your club? And you've got 2 hours to do it. The first time you do something like this, it might take you an hour and a half. The second time, it probably only take you an hour. Well, first take that great big breath. Recognize you can do this. So, you've already been given the purpose statement in this case. You don't need that step. You may need to rewrite it so it's yours. But that person, whoever that might have been, gave you your purpose statement. So the next thing is, after you've written it down, is do some keywords, some brainstorming on that idea to bring them up for your concentrations. And then, as you'll start to arrange these keywords, create an outline, top down. First point, second point, third point, top down. And then some key points in between. Once you've got that done, do your introduction and conclusion. Add a personal story. Elaborate, or as Dr. Ralph SMED says, a pertinent story or picturesque word is remembered when the argument has been forgotten. Storytelling is incredibly strong. People remember stories when they forget your message. And if you got a personal story, they'll remember that personal story to make it relate to this, your speech at hand. But again, guidance from our previous leader here. Elaborate on the points as you need to. You're going to utilize your Toastmaster skills. Go in front of that mirror. It's okay to feel silly. It's okay to tell your spouse that, yes, I'm going to go into the bathroom and practice my speech. And then, again, rearrange as necessary, keywords, and practice. And remember, just like Little Red Riding Hood, no, this is Alice in Wonderland, excuse me. Alice in Wonderland, walking down the yellow brick road and seeing the corner there, the Wicked Witch of the West. Life throws obstacles at you. What you've created may not be exactly what you plan when you get up here to speak. However, if you've done your outline, if you've done your practice, you're going to rely on your Toastmaster skills and your table topic skills, and you're going to be able to overcome that obstacle. Again, here's the basic summary and review of this. And there's about the times, and notice I'm saying short times for the brainstorming. And remember, as we had last year at the spring conference, our keynote speaker talked a whole hour about selecting topics. And one of the suggestions she had was keep a file of the things that you like, your articles you're interested in, topics you're interested in, quotes, facts. Put them in a file and go through those files every so often and define things that interest you and you can be working on in the future. And know that this technique is a tool for your toolbox, but you got to practice it now in order to get it in your mind that you have it as a tool to use for later. If you never practice this method, it will not be available for you to use. So I'm recommending that you at least go home and try this with a few speeches so you get that toolbox into your head so it's available to make that engine work. So with that, again, Dr. Ralph Smedley, you can control your thoughts, you can build a dependable memory, but you can't do it by merely wishing. Practice. Practice. Those impromptu speeches that people that just like to stand up and say, I want to practice impromptu, that's what table talks is for. But our main speeches, you need to practice with a practice speech so that you come across polished, or you'll never get polished. With that, Toastmasters, do you have any questions? You are the message. However you dress, how you walk, how you talk, the message you bring out, you are the message. And you need to represent yourself with your message. Madam Tabletop Toastmaster.